Get the fuck out of my face! We're winning. You keep talking, but you're talking out of your ass. We've got silver. Silver's going higher. Fuck you. You've got the dollar, it's going lower. Fuck you. You see what I'm saying? So who's winning this conversation? I am. Ask again the question.
What kind of a reaction do you think would take them by surprise?
Well, because you're saying you're talking words, but they're thinking prices. So they talk words, and then you talk words, and you think you're talking back and forth. But they're thinking about prices. They're thinking about the fact that the road between right where we sit now and the seaside is going to be bought for nothing and turned into condos in Miami, into a huge development that you'll have no ownership whatsoever. That's what they're thinking. But they're talking to you about all kinds of commitments that they themselves created out of their ass that don't even exist, right? So my point is that you need to have your price of what you have to talk to them about their prices. Your price is silver, and the silver price keeps going higher. The U.S. dollar keeps going lower. The U.S. dollar is their central currency by which they use to print trillions in fake nonsensical debts. So the fact that silver keeps going higher is like saying, fuck you. We've got silver. Silver's going higher. Fuck you. You've got the dollar. It's going lower. Fuck you. You see what I'm saying? We're winning. We're winning. You keep talking, but you're talking out of your ass because the price of the dollar is going down. You talk with dollars, and dollars are not worth toilet paper. The dog on the street crapping on the street, that's worth more than your dollars. I've got silver. Silver has maintained value for thousands of years. So who's winning this conversation? I am. And therefore, get the fuck out of my face.
In Greece right now, what can the people of Greece do to fight this effectively with the present situation? Could you suggest an alternative economical system by which people could gradually start taking their livelihood into their own hands?
The way I see Greece right now is it suffers from a few problems. One problem it suffers from is that it is a very interesting size. The size of the Greek economy is about $300 billion. So it's not too small, it's not too big. It's the perfect size to be attacked from Wall Street and the city of London, because it's about the same size as a large U.S. company. Walmart's worth $400 billion, Exxon's worth $400 billion, Google's worth $220 billion. So the entire Greek economy is about one size of one big company in America. So the way Wall Street looks at it is that they want to do a hostile raid, they want to do a takeover, and they want to break it up and sell the assets and keep the difference as a profit. So they approach the country of Greece as you would approach a company as a hostile raid. So this is a hostile raid of a country. It's also the same thing in Ireland, the same thing in Portugal, and they're using the assets of Greece as the collateral to borrow money to take Greece over. Because the IMF, for example, that is coming into Greece is bankrupt. The IMF has no money. The World Bank has no money. The only money they have is that they've collateralized the assets of Greece to borrow money to take over Greece. Then they're going to sell Greece off bit by bit by bit. And whatever is left over after they pay their creditors, they'll keep as a profit. And the country will be absorbed into some new entity, but it will no longer be sovereign. It will have lost its sovereignty.
We've already lost our sovereignty, I think.
Yes. Yeah. The memorandum vis-a-vis the IMF essentially gives away your sovereignty.
Exactly, and our ancient treasures, I guess, and our
are now
mineral.
That's right. They're all being used as owned as be resold now to the
all
debtors.
the resources we have.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us some more about the Silver Liberation Army attack, which I gather you organized in order to hit J.P. Morgan?
Right, well, my approach is always to fight fire with fire. So this country and other countries around the world are being attacked using techniques of capitalism. So this is a way to use capitalism to fight back. So the way that this has identified a vulnerability in the system. The vulnerability is that J.P. Morgan, in order to keep the price of silver cheap, because there's a need to keep the price of silver cheap in order to make the price of paper look attractive. This has been going on for decades. And as a result, they have accumulated 3 billion ounces of silver short that they don't own, but they've sold. So they therefore have a liability. As the price goes up, they have a bigger liability. By taking physical silver off the market, you're guaranteeing that this liability will increase on their balance sheet. So you're using financial warfare against them. So my point is that I'm willing to beat them at their own game, which is capitalism. I'm not trying to make them morally better. I'm not trying to pass new laws. I'm not trying to have them face a court of justice for human rights, even though they should.
They should.
What I'm saying is I can use capitalism to beat the capitalists by identifying a vulnerability and using price signals.
Funny thing is that there's a scarcity of precious metals like silver and gold, I think.
There is.
I've heard something about tungsten gold-plated.
Well, a lot of there's gold, there's silver. Gold is the metal that's used in the central banking system. Silver is really the metal of the resistance to global insurrection. And as far as the integrity of the gold that's in the central banking system, there's already scarcity as it is. There's only 150,000 tons above ground. It's worth about $7 trillion in total. And it's already quite scarce. The tungsten scare, a lot of that has come from J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs, who are trying to scare people from buying gold.
Right.
So that's more their propaganda coming from their side.
The member Achinos in my site asks about the world oil reserve and whether oil production has peaked.
Oil production has peaked in countries all over the world. For example, in Cantarell Field in Mexico, one of the 3 biggest in the world, that's peaked a few years ago. It's now in rapid decline. The oil and gas in Bergen, the Bergen Field in Kuwait has peaked. It's now in decline. The Ghawar Field in Saudi Arabia, even though they don't publish figures publicly, we believe that it has also peaked and is in rapid decline. The North Sea oil is in decline. America's oil is in decline. When you add all this together and you understand that the global market production is in decline, otherwise known as peak oil. And this is a situation that also comes at the same time as peak credit. So, in other words, it's not that the oil is all gone. The question is the oil that can be extracted economically is gone. Because going forward, in order to extract oil, you need to borrow money, but we have no credit because the system is collapsing. So you can't borrow the money to go find the oil. The price keeps going up because of the inflation being printed by central banks. So this is causing demand destruction. So the era of fossil fuel, the era of oil, is really only 100 years old. is now finished.
Do you suppose there's going to be an alternative energy as a solution?
Well, that was the solution 50 years ago, when it was still possible to develop an alternative energy. But the big oil companies in the oil-rich countries
hiding the patents
has kept that from happening. So now we're going to have a much more disruptive situation.
Exiled asks, who are the ones who actually wrote or keep writing the CDS for Greek debt? And how do you suggest we get out of this trap of EU and IMF despite your warnings?
Well, it just came out yesterday that the Europeans are now going to be suing the CDS use in Europe as part of an investigation. So the use of CDS is becoming scrutinized all over the world, including the United States. You know, Lloyd Blankfein, CEO of Goldman Sachs, is now wanted for questioning in front of Congress for having purged himself the last time he was in front of Congress, lying about CDS, the role of CDS, and how his own company manufactured and distributed faulty products and then made bets against their own clients, capitalizing on the fall of their own clients. Similarly, in Greece, the people who sold Greece the bogus contracts to begin with knew that it would cause disruption in Greece, and then they started making bets against Greece. So this is a controlled demolition of Greece. It's a controlled financial demolition where parties are making money.
The firefighter asks, we know more or less how we have reached this point. Again, he asks whether you can see any way that we can get out of this. Demonstrations and strikes don't seem to be helping any.
Well, number one, the government has to default on the debt. The debt was fraudulently induced. They have no responsibility to pay the debt. The memorandum that was signed with the IMF was done illegally. One point about the memorandum is that they used the assets of Greece as collateral to pay off these debts. Well, much of the assets of Greece, like the Elgin marbles, are held in British museums. Why aren't they then going after the British Commonwealth and the British museums as collateral for these debts? If they're not going after the Elgin marbles to help pay for this debt, then the debt is invalidated. So take your pick. Either bring us back our marbles, or there is no memorandum, and there is no alternative.
Germany owes us a lot as well.
And so does France. So if you're using our cultural assets as collateral, then you have to return it to our country first. You can't use collateral that was stolen from us and is held in other countries as collateral to be used against us. So you have to choose whether you return our cultural assets or we do this memorandum, but you can't have both. Number one. Number two, you have 110 tons of gold, which can be monetized. Bring back the drachma, which was silver. Of course, silver drachma was used. Bring back the silver drachma. You can use that to recapitalize the entire banking system and get out of all the current debts easily enough. It's not hard to do. Number three, there are other ways to raise a lot of cash quickly. The government can sell economic citizenship.
It's going to be our debt, our destruction to go back to the drachma.
Why? Let me say something. You know what? If you don't give me your wallet right now and all the money in your wallet, you're going to catch fire spontaneously and burn to a crisp and burn in hell forever. Okay, so give me your money right now. Give me your money. Give me your money. You don't understand? Give me your fucking money. Give me your money or I'm going to fucking kill you. Alright, so that's what the IMF is saying. Give us your money or we're going to fucking kill you. That's what they're saying. Do you like that? Do you like being threatened with your life by a group of thugs and rapists? Do you like that? Some people do. Some people do. And they live in the West Village in New York City. Okay? But not everybody likes this. Some people go to torture dungeons and like things shoved up their sphincter. Is that you? Is that what you want? No. Then give me your money. Give me your money. Give me your money.
You know what I keep saying? I mean, my latest motto. The American dream is a global nightmare right now.
Well, the American Central Bank is creating hyperinflation all over the world. Like in Brazil, the Brazilian real is skyrocketing. They try to keep it cheap by whatever measure they could, then they give it up because the U.S. just keeps printing money.
It was getting lighter.
Because they're trying to export their worst problems to other countries.
That's always been the case. Ion Romanos asks, are we truly experiencing something similar to 1939? Is the 2008 crisis the precursor for a deep recession or crash in 2012?
Look, what happened in 1939 was Greece defaulted on its loans held by foreigners, because under the Greek constitution, if paying the loans creates hardships for citizens, constitutionally they're not allowed to pay that loan. So using that as a precedent, which they won in 1939, the Constitution expressly forbids the government from making good on any outside debts that may cause hardship to the population. The government is acting unconstitutionally. Now in the memorandum, it says in the memorandum that the Constitution is invalid. It goes around the Constitution, but that's illegal, especially when the collateral being used to finance the memorandum is held in foreign territories. It's completely illegal, and there's nothing even remotely legal about any of the memorandum. These actions of the Troika are the actions of financial terrorists, and they should be, of course, prosecuted as financial terrorists, and they should be put in Guantanamo Bay, or they should be hung in the public square as terrorists.
You're right. Internationally speaking, are they preparing for a cashless society with credit cards and electronic credit units, what have you? Do you see that coming?
That's in the interest of the global, the new World Bank, basically, and they, of course,
global governments,
global bank, and to have electronic money and GPS attached to everywhere that you go. Of course, you now know that Google and Microsoft phones track people wherever they go, and of course, every time you use your credit card. So we're becoming database slaves of the database. And this is happening on a global basis, and it's up to individuals and individual countries to create coalitions to push back. Greece is a great place for this to happen. It has the cultural history. It has everything you need to stage a successful revolution.
Everybody seems to be distorting the meaning of democracy. Seeing it's a Greek word, it's really frustrating for the Greeks.
Well, another part of my 3-point plan to recapitalize Greece is to start charging other countries copyright for using the words like democracy. And, for example, Google Maps, they take photos of the Acropolis all day long. They don't pay you anything for that. That's Greece's intellectual property. So either pay us money for our intellectual property, or you can't show the Acropolis. You can't show any part of Greece. You can't just rip us off our intellectual property all day long and pay us nothing. So that, plus the economic citizenship, plus the monetization of gold, those three things alone would put Greece into a $2 to $5 trillion surplus within 2 years.
What would be ideal for Greece, euro or drachma?
Drachma, of course. Gold, silver, back drachma, bring it back.
Doctormarkon asks, the lady there, what we can do from here on, and how long can this situation last with the policies and the austerity measures this government is implementing?
Start circulating silver amongst yourselves as an alternative currency. Boycott all American products, including the big ones like Coca-Cola. Anyone who's, because the IMF is the United States. And the United States is, like Coca-Cola, is a good brand name. If you drink Coca-Cola, you are putting yourself, it's an act of financial suicide. So Coca-Cola, Starbucks, McDonald's, all American products should be completely boycotted. They should leave Greece. They should not be able to do business here. Just don't frequent them. Don't give them any of your money, because they use that money to get 10 to 20 times that amount of money in loans to use to buy you out of your country and leave you with nothing. It's like the people in America are stupid enough to shop at Walmart. Every dollar they save at Walmart, they lose $2 in wages to Chinese. But Americans are stupid. The Greeks are not stupid. Americans are born stupid. They'll die stupid. Greeks have 5,000 years of history. I mean, they're not stupid.
They are being manipulated mentally, though, like everyone is nowadays. Thank you very much.
Sure, no problem.
Sir, Mr. Keiser, enjoy your
My pleasure.
Thank you. Wasn't that bad, was it?
No. Enjoyable. Very enjoyable.